Fantastic. I'm just gonna read from my screen. Sorry, so just give me a second. So yes, so this was actually my my little lockdown book, which sounds a bit weird because it's about half fish, half women, and half birds, half women. But I think the idea that held it together for me was the idea of hybridity, and kind of how many roles women take on, and well, hopefully you'll see as I read them. So I'm going to start with a poem that's actually inspired by Adrienne Rich, her amazing poem, Diving into the Wreck. It's called Mermaid Visits the Archive. By the shore she recalls once diving the wreck, though they told her never to adventure its depths, or harvest its bones cast as oracle on ocean floor. She witnessed a rotten hull give way, from tarry gloom the dull gleam of mercury, copper ingots cold clink. She longs to recall the stink of death, no documents but papered dissolution. She seeks herself in ivory and iron, salt-cured skins, elephant tusks, stone shot, fragments of pelvis. Later, she learns to hide her tail beneath long skirts. Land dweller, she gathers a form from museum dust. Between mammoth and meteorite, she reads of an affinity with elephants, her twin pairs of breasts, how when strapped to a mast, she gains ecstasies, a voice pitched to scream, which some sailors call her song. She feels the stones weighting her chest, ghosts of coins spill silver from her mouth. So the next two poems I'm going to read sort of take on this concept of the hybrid woman in slightly different ways. And they both use found text. So the first one is from actually an academic book. And the bit that this is from is called Monster Culture, 7 Theses. So this poem is also in 7 parts. And it's called On the Female Monster. On the Female Monster. 1. The monster's body is a cultural hybrid, defying annexation with green vapor and polyphony. Vitality stalks her imperiled hair, both warning and portent. She wreaks desire and feminine upheaval. 2. The monster always escapes, with her freakish propensity to shift and vanish like bones or geographic talisman. She fragments aberration with a dangerous refusal, bifurcating and/or, either/or. 3. The monster is the harbinger. We are violated in the cyber resistance of the monster's body, which logically devours hypermasculine and divisive human history. 4. The monster dwells at the gates. The undead ocean returns to live among us, a dispossessed hydra, the planet in pain, incorporated as haunting. 5. The monster polices the borders of grotesque prohibition. 2 living bodies engulfed and bound, she and them, Virago, Lilith, Sycorax. 6. Fear of the monster is really desire. Every sublime glimpse cast as sculpted dance, lascivious, imaginary, exoticized beauty, disturbing rape. 7. The monster stands at the threshold, asks us how, asks us why, asks us what is sanctioned, what is forbidden. So the next poem I'm going to read is also made of found text, and this is from a Guardian article on robot surgery, but I had to add the words she and her because they weren't in the original article at all. And it's got a run-on title, so I'll just read it. Most people come in these days asking for the robot. Her accumulated wisdom fed by crimson delicacy, plump dexterity of 4 metal arms, her civilian sensors, implant and fishhooks at your breast. Enhancing, mimicking, performing genie, she emerges theatrical in smoke plumes, latent with connectivity, buffering sweet maneuverability to open hearts. Glimpse amazement as 500 magnified mesmeric faces suggest permanently palpable human friend. No guesswork. Her intuitive intimacy machine deftly probes much deep, dark sexual hurting. With dedicated incisions, she pincers all critical traces of end of the last century trouble. Wince and wonder. She is both diagnosis and cure. So the next 2 poems, the last 2 poems I'm going to read are both ghazals. So I'll just try and sort of say a little bit about the ghazal briefly. I'm no expert, but it's a form that really came to India via the languages Arabic and Persian, and it's a really beautiful form. And the ghazal in English has existed for some time, but obviously the ghazal in other languages has existed for even longer. And there are certain rules, and usually the couplets are complete in themselves, although they can digress from couplet to couplet. There's often both a rhymed word and a refrain at the end of each couplet. And often the poet refers to their own name in the final verse as well. So I've kind of been a bit flexible with the rules in this poem, but I did them a little bit more in the next ghazal. And this ghazal is called Ghazal Manohara. And I should just briefly say that Manohara is a Buddhist heroine of legend who is a Kinnari, who is actually half woman, half bird. And she was trapped by a hunter and forced to be married to a prince until she escaped back to her sort of heavenly kingdom that she was from. Ghazal Manohara. I heard flight was 3 parts belief, a body 3 parts water. Wait, you called me half bird, my habitus gravity, ornamentally winged. Fleshed breast, thigh, marrow-boned carmine, lacunae of air sate with blood. Watch them tremble, invisible, my stilled wings. You looped my foot to trip me, knew I'd plummet. It will take so long to rid me of man-stink, of this noose, circle like a ring. Since your barb pierced tender skin, let the hunter's snare break loose. I'll worry the knot embracing my ankle, claw at the strings. When I forsake you, consider me elemental. My brows arch fate, sacrifice to you, lover. Didn't you place this ring on my finger? Weighted terrestrial by terror, not joy. Watch me arrow escape, see it fly, how my shadow swoops moons, near celestial being. I'll soar to dominions of bark, sap, blossom. Leave in my wake those shackled days and nights. From holy mountaintop, I'll sing. So the last poem I'm going to read is also a ghazal, and it was inspired by the dream diary of Tipu Sultan. And I should just explain, Tipu Sultan was a sort of late 18th, early 19th century Indian ruler who was defeated and in fact killed by the British. And following that sort of battle, lots of the treasures and artifacts of the kingdom made their way to England, and they're really quite sort of fashionable with collectors. And one of them is in the V&A Museum today, which is Tipu's tiger, which is a sort of wooden automaton of a tiger mauling a British soldier. And another one is a kind of the dream diary that Tipu Sultan would keep and give to his sort of seers to interpret. And that's where lots of the imagery comes from. Ghazal, air. Dark shell, white flesh, milk of coconut spills in the air. We fly these ruins as birds, our losses wing the air. Powder white as the elephant an emperor once sent. Smoke rises from funeral pyres to sting the air. Clothed in yellow silk, under rain a jasmine blooms, temple idols walk, their eloquent hands hymn the air. Did we dream of fleeing our city as strangers? Nephilimancy clouds danger, thunder gins the air. Their hunters steal sly victory, hack at gathered bones. Our tiger sculls bullets, stripes blacken and skin the air. We wander in labyrinths, gather songs in threadbare palms. As a moth forsakes stars, we embrace flames, pin the air. Thank you very much. And thank you so much to Aaron, Charlie, everyone at Broken Sleep, and all these amazing poets. It's been such a privilege to read with you today. Thank you.